Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and a very warm welcome to Addis Dialogue with the program. I'm Shifar Raulaka, and my guest today is the CEO of the Entrepreneurship Development Institute, Dr. Hassen Hussien. We'll talk about a host of issues vis-a-vis current situations when it comes to entrepreneurship and invention in Ethiopia as compared to Africa and the entire globe. Do stay with us. Dr. Hassen, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
As an icebreaker, can you briefly tell us a little bit about yourself and the organization that you are heading, the program, the progress, things like that?
Well, EDI came into being last year after the most recent government reorganization. It comprises two projects that have been operating for close to 10 years. The first one is the Entrepreneurship Development Center, which was a joint operation between the Ethiopian government and the United Nations Development Program. Mm-hmm. The second program was the Entrepreneurship Development, the Women Entrepreneurship Development Project, funded by the World Bank. EDI came into being, bringing together these two projects, and I have been there. I've been the CEO since 2018.
All right. So talking about entrepreneurship, I think entrepreneurship in Ethiopia is at its early stage compared to other countries, especially developed ones. So where is entrepreneurship in Ethiopia?
As you said, we are at the early stages of development. Well, we could say a lot of things. There are entrepreneurs in Ethiopia, mm-hmm. many of them, and there are entrepreneurial cultures in Ethiopia. But as far as the vast majority of the population is concerned, this concept is new. Entrepreneurship and innovation are very new. And compared to other African countries, if we count by the number of enterprises mm-hmm. in Ethiopia, whether they are small, medium, or big, Ethiopia has the fewest number of enterprises compared to other sub-Saharan African countries. So we could say we are at the early stages of development. The good news is we have one of the most enterprising and innovative young generation in the country who make up the bulk of our population. Our job would be to provide an enabling environment, a more conducive environment for them to innovate mm-hmm. and create enterprises that would shape the future of our economy.
I'm so glad that you brought up the youngsters of Ethiopians. Talking about the youngsters of Ethiopians, how are they responding to the concept of entrepreneurship?
Our youth are very bright, mm-hmm. Like all young people throughout the world. They want to try new things. But they also have several obstacles standing in their way. I think the crisis in our education system has a lot to do with some of the challenges they are facing, because our education system focuses unduly on content, rote memorization of facts and figures, and little application. So we have a lot of graduates who walk away from the universities and our colleges with degrees, but little by way of tangible skills desired by employers, mm-hmm. and also not being exposed to the very idea of entrepreneurship, because entrepreneurship requires a certain set of attitudes and behaviors which our young people are not receiving from the universities they attend and the colleges they go through. The good news is that we have been dealing with this issue for close to a decade now, and we provide mindset based entrepreneurship training program. Mm-hmm. By the time our young people walk through our typical program, they are highly motivated, driven, willing to try all kinds of things, and many of them wake up to the ample opportunities that this country provides, because we are a third world country. This is a growing economy, a vast population, and we have so many social, ecological, and economic problems which entrepreneurs could turn into thousands and millions of new businesses. So waking them up to the possibilities, the unlimited possibilities that exist in the country is one of the things that we do. The other thing is the government is placing a lot of focus on entrepreneurs and SMEs. However, the environment, the regulatory environment, the policy environment is still not conducive for the emergence and growth of the SME sector. The bureaucratic red tape is very cumbersome. It is still difficult to start businesses and more so to close them. Young people also face a great bottleneck in the form of access to finance. They don't have large savings of their own or from their parents, so they'll have to rely on banks and other financial institutions. But if you look at our banking system, the amount of lending provided to SMEs is very minimal. So access to finance is another bottleneck. But the largest, for me, the biggest story is that if we work on the mindset of our youth, if we are able to change their attitude and their behavior, waking them up to the vast possibilities that exist in this country, and if we have our young people assume responsibility for their success and failure, that we could wake up this giant elephant and have it assume its rightful place in the country and in the world.
Yeah, absolutely.
So there is a lot of externalization. People blame all kinds of external things for their success and failure, be it the government, lack of finance or lack, whatever. What we do in our effort is for young people to assume their responsibility, to be able to take their responsibilities head on and face the challenge, because a lot of people have ideas but lack the courage to try them out. So and our culture is a little bit risk averse. Of course, our youth are a product of this culture, and we have to, we have to work a lot on their mindset and their risk attitudes.
Yeah, thank you so much for that explanation. So let me come to you. What exactly are you doing to help young entrepreneurs in Ethiopia to keep up with the developed ones, with the nations that are well advanced in areas of invention and entrepreneurship?
Thank you so much. We do a whole series of things, beginning with the most limiting factor, that is the enabling environment. Whether we like it or not, we had a left-leaning state system for close to 50 years, and we have a very cumbersome bureaucracy. The rules and regulations are not is hard to navigate for young people. The attitude of our bureaucracy and our public system is also a bit hostile to SMEs. So changing the mindset of the government, the way the government operates itself is a major area of work for us. That's number one. So through policy dialogue, advocating on behalf of entrepreneurs and innovators, raising the profile of successful innovators and how they were able to measure. That's one. Then the second thing is building the capacity of institutions. For most part of our existence, we focused on building the capacity of our university faculty and Tibetan instructors. The government has mandated entrepreneurship as a course. It is delivered as a common course, both at the university and the college level. However, it's just like any other course where students are asked to memorize a set of factors and figures, and students study a set of materials. to pass an exam, but by the time they're done, there is little by way of entrepreneurial attitude. So what we are trying to do is change the way entrepreneurship is taught in this country, and we focus on university faculty and Tibet colleges to do that. The way we follow a very experiential training methodology, where we work on people's attitude, their mindset and their behavior. By so doing, we are also trying to change the students learn in this country. And
the Ministry of Education has changed the curriculum. Maybe it will address these issues, right?
Hopefully, but the crisis is so deep. It will take a long time to correct this problem. Little by way of focus on skills. There is little work on changing young people's attitudes and their mindset, their behavior, which are an integral part of entrepreneurship. So we do that. The other thing we added to this component is government being the biggest elephant in the house, be it in Ethiopia or elsewhere, more so in Ethiopia. We have crafted a new package, capacity building package called Entrepreneurship and Innovation Ecosystem Building, and it is being received with rave reviews. So far we have worked very closely with the Ministry of Labor and Skills, where we, the Minister, Her Excellency Mufarrad Kamil, was gracious and kind enough to attend our workshop and along with her state ministers. I think that has set an example. The ministry is doing a lot of things, to promote entrepreneurship and innovation, and to mold the institutions under the ministry using the entrepreneurship and innovation lens. I think this is a new addition to our portfolio, but it is growing by leaps and bounds. A lot of demand from the regions, from the universities, from Tibet colleges, regional government, local government, and also.
So it's gaining a popularity and well acceptance.
Yeah. The other thing we do is providing entrepreneurship training for all kinds of people, young people, people with low literacy, farmers. We do a program on farming as a business, women, those with and without businesses. And here again, we focus on their attitude, building the attitude, their attitudes, the skills that would make them successful in business.
Right. Okay, thank you so much for that wonderful idea. As you know, Ethiopia in particular and the continent of Africa in general are not that famous for entrepreneurship for a number of reasons, especially as a result of different entities trying to tarnish its image. So how can entrepreneurship help change the image of Ethiopia and Africa for the better?
I think the good news is Africa is the new frontier, with Ethiopia leading the way. There are a vast number of opportunities, business opportunities. Africa is the new Mecca for aspiring entrepreneurs and innovators. As a continent and as a country, we have a host of problems, be it social, ecological, political, social, what have you. And the role of entrepreneurs is to turn these problems into business opportunities. So we have one of the youngest population in the world. If you look at the rest of the world, Europe, North America, Southeast Asia, we have an aging population. We have a very dynamic, highly educated, tech-savvy population, which could produce the products and services being desired by the rest of the world. So we have to do a lot of change on the ground.
Yeah.
The policy and regulatory environment has to be supportive of entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurs need to be celebrated.
Yes.
Innovators need to be accorded. Prestige needs to be celebrated, needs to be supported with financial packages, all different kind of incentives for them, to innovate and create new businesses and new products and services. We have a long way to go. The other thing is we also need to work on our education system, focusing on quality of education. If we do that, I think the future belongs to Africa. I am very hopeful and optimistic that Africa will be a place to be for entrepreneurs and innovators.
Yeah, indeed, Africa is the emerging power of innovation and entrepreneurship. So how are you cooperating with other nations, be it in Africa or in the US, wherever it is? How are you cooperating with these countries in order to bring about the best entrepreneurship here and localize it for the better achievement of the youngsters and for the nation as well?
Yeah. Well, one of the challenge in Africa is we hardly trade with each other. Our borders are more impregnable than in the rest of the world. We need to encourage inter-African trade and investment. We have more interaction with the rest of the world than our immediate neighbors. I think we have to do a lot in changing this practice and the attitude that is behind it. But our program is part of an international program. Our package, training packages and methodology is called Empretec, is a proprietary program licensed by UNCTAD. This program runs in several countries in the world and also in Africa. So we are in touch with Empretec centers throughout the continent. As a matter of fact, our Empretec center here in Ethiopia was established with the assistance of Empretec Ghana. So we have annual conferences. Even though we have not met so far in Africa. I think we need to have a forum for Africa where institutions that are trying to promote entrepreneurship and innovation throughout Africa, in different parts of Africa, need to come together, be it to share experiences or to support each other and create synergy. I think we have a lot to do in this area. I think that's one of the areas where we are lacking greatly.
Yeah, so already you have begun cooperating with other nations in Africa.
Yes,
yeah,
yes, but not enough.
Not enough, okay. Okay, so what is your message to young aspirants, young entrepreneurs? What should they do in order to become better inventors?
That's a very good question. If you look at our public, if you walk into a typical government institution, you will see a lot of people. There is hardly a space to stand, let alone sit down and do your job. Our public system is bloated, and many of them are young people, so they're not going anywhere. So seeking employment in the public sector is unthinkable. Second, if we look at many public servants, they're not paid very well. The working environment is not very conducive. It is not an area where it is easy for you to leave a legacy behind. So public entrepreneurship, the public sector is not very attractive for our youth. On the other hand, the private sector is still at the early stage of development. Like I said before, we have very few enterprises, private enterprises, compared to our huge population. So if our young people have to have a future, they have to start their own businesses, see entrepreneurship as a viable career path. They have to test their new ideas. They have to innovate rather than weighing themselves down, explaining their, why they are not doing this or that because of certain external factors. They have to own their future. They have to innovate. They have to build enterprises, not just to build themselves a career, but also to provide jobs for other people. I think what I would advise young people is not to be afraid, to take risk. We have a huge population in this country. A lot of consumers. Income is growing, perhaps not as much as fast as we want, but it is growing nonetheless, and it is expected to grow. So there is a buying power, domestic, huge domestic consumer base. So if you create something, there are millions who would want to consume your product and use your services. So we have a huge market. What we need is for young people to test their ideas. They should not wait until they reach a certain age to take risk, to start a business, to try their luck, to fail and learn from their failures. I think they are confronted with a new reality. In the old days, you go to a university, a job is waiting for you with a promising career, and the wage was also not as bad. Our young people today don't have that option. So I think entrepreneurship and innovation is the way to go. There are different kind of support packages available. I am encouraged by the fact that many business development providers are both foreign and national, domestic, are coming into the market to train young people. And EDI has packages that can turn people's lives around. I think my last message is for them to be hopeful about the future. I think there is wealth to be made in this country and in this continent. There is no reason to lose hope. They have to be hopeful. They have to be bold and try new things. We can't make a living doing the same things our parents and grandparents did. Yeah. We have to try new things. The silver lining is that we have young people who are tech savvy, who are highly educated compared to the previous generations. I am very hopeful that they will transform our economy.
Yeah, so the youngsters obviously need to be bold enough to venture, right?
Yes.
Yes. So where do you see Ethiopian entrepreneurship in, say, some 10 years, 20 years' time?
Well, as a society, we have different challenges. Our political system, there is a lot of instability, which we have to tackle, and we have to tackle them through. But we have to be also be very creative and innovative in our political realm as our economic and social realm. We have to learn to live peacefully with each other, accept our differences, our diversity. Our diversity is what makes us strong, what makes us attractive as for entrepreneurship and innovation. As you know, entrepreneurship and innovation thrives in areas where there is diversity. So we have to look at these differences, be it religious, cultural, linguistic, and what have you, as a gift. So we need a more stable political condition. I think that is a big challenge that has to be tackled. Our regulatory environment, our policy environment also needs to be significantly streamlined and liberalized to allow young people to try new things and fail and learn from their failures. I think as we speak right now, the enabling environment is not there, so we have to create that. But if we do this, I see a great future. So the reason why we have to work innovatively and creatively on entrepreneurship and innovation is not just to tackle unemployment. Young people are not finding the jobs that will enable them to meaningfully translate their potentials into reality, into promise, into wealth, and an area where they could gain their life's meaning. There is also another opportunity, because in our history, this is perhaps the first time in our history where we have the largest working age population. There is a huge demographic dividend to be reaped, and so if we are able to do this in 10 years, I am looking at the next Asia, the next Malaysia, maybe not Singapore, but in Indonesia, and even India. We have the population, we have the resources, we have a lot of millions of young people with talent and creativity. If we create the necessary conditions for them, I see a country and a population ready for liftoff. We just have to make sure that the things that weigh us down, that pull us down, political instability, social upheaval, focusing on petty differences and petty problems, and focusing on the most important thing, which is growing our economy, growing a better future for our young people. I see a promise. I am very hopeful that the next generation would live better than I lived, and better than our grandparents lived.
Absolutely. I think the best is yet to come. Dr. Hassen Hussien, CEO of Entrepreneurship Development Institute, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much for having me, Shwarao. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, most welcome. Well, dear viewers, with that, we come to the end of today's program, and thank you as well for having been with us. Until I see you next time with yet another program, it's goodbye from me, Shifarao Lako. Stay safe and take care. New ideas, new perspectives, and new viewpoints. We are coming to you with renewed commitments through our new programs, Explore Ethiopia and Diplomatic Insight, because we believe that you deserve to know the truth. For global perspectives on local matters regarding Ethiopia, join us on Addis Dialogue, featuring distinguished guests from Africa and the entire globe, on ETV Language, the voice of diversity and renaissance.